Hey there, friends. One of the themes here is on this channel citizen diplomacy, and that takes a couple of forms. In my futuristic sort of science fiction writing, we're talking about the trucker exchange, where drivers, crew get to swap jobs around the world for academic credit. This other prong or fork is ecumenism or dialogue across religions. Because I have some experience with that, having attended the 1999 Parliament of World Religions and having been employed by Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon, somewhat indirectly through a subsidiary nonprofit called Q. And before you go crazy on that, CUE, Center for Urban Education. So that's a little bit of my background. That's in Portland, Oregon, by the way, which is coming back, kind of being normal in terms of post pandemic, but we'll see. This is a picture of me holding a little nationless map that you are familiar with if you're playing in the same ballpark. It's a classic rendering because none of the continents have chunks taken out of them. In other words, it's not that easy to find the solution to how to unfold the globe into an icosahedral looking thing, but to not cut into anything, right? And I have a bigger one behind me right here. All right, you see that? And citizen diplomacy with that map as a reference does not have to mean that I am always forgetting what state you're from. But we do have this ambiguity as an American, especially a North American, when I say states, because what are you talking about? Are you talking about like Germany, or are you talking about like Mississippi? Because they're states. It's just there's 50 states in North America here that don't have much of a customs check. You can just drive, right? Get on the freeway and just drive from A to B in the 50 states or the contiguous lower 48, really. Driving to Alaska is another matter. Driving to Hawaii is not possible. You get my point, though. And Europe wants that in terms of trucks not having to sit at borders a lot. That's been handled well, I think, the Brexit stuff in terms of focusing on what matters, which is where trucks have to wait and why and what for. Now, substance control is not inherently something you can only have to do at a border checkpoint, right? So when you talk about no borders, you don't mean I'm giving up on substance control necessarily or on any other kind of tracking, right? Like if you have a tracking device, a personal tracking device, just because you cross a border, shouldn't you don't even know the border's there half the time. You shouldn't lose that ability to be tracked. Now, being tracked against your will, that's kind of what we call being spied on. Like if somebody's watching you through a telescope in your apartment. Voyeurs do that. It's kind of creepy, we say. And I've talked it in previous videos about how I would like a school in Oregon, say, or in a very remote area that has something like this look, but not because of any spy-based purpose, really. But on the other hand, we would have an ecumenical function. In other words, talking about, Islamic Judaism, or, how these religions have the ability to close circuits, excuse me, to intercommunicate, to, get along, figure out differences. And the people with the ears who are listening in, let's say, they'll just hear people getting along better and better. There's nothing much they can do to stop it. They can report that people are getting along better, and then the difference between, say, Mississippi and Germany will be less because Germans will have a relationship with the surrounding states of Europe, much as Americans have with the surrounding states of whatever states, where we can just drive over a state line without much thought. And that's what the Dymaxion projection connotes, is you can drive over a border without much thought. But that doesn't mean your vehicle is not being tracked by the company, by how fast you're going. There's always to surveil and to keep track of that don't involve putting all the emphasis and all the wait time in one place. Now, I know it's convenient when everything's on a ship. That's when it's getting off. That's when it makes sense to check it. There it is before it gets dispersed across the nation, whatever you're checking for, right? Substance control is something I've always thought about in connection with, a world economy. I think we all do. When we think about a world economy, we get into that. But all that's taught me so far is that we can be flexible when it comes to where we do substance control. And does it have to be at a so-called border, right? Anyway, stuff to think about. I just wanted to go over some of the themes here. It's not about one world government or something like that. In other words, we're already there where I'm talking about. If only we could just get along somewhat. Like, keep all the states, keep everything, United Nations, just keep it all just the way it is, and then realize that's one solution to the world game problem. Like, we could be in a parallel setup here where that's not um, the world we were in, right? It's easy to imagine parallel worlds. And I suggest in science fiction we do that, and that going forward, shifting left to right, up or down, whatever directionality we want to impute. Chess playing, that we tantalize ourselves with quasi-relevant, how it could have turned out, what it could be like. And in this curriculum, we're always kind of, I would say, teasing or flirting with the idea in a way, but not by choice always. In other words, uh, of a parallel world where there's more emphasis on some of the Bucky stuff, in other words. And I don't think it's being coy. I think it's an uphill battle, and it's been waged, and now there's results. So, history moves on. But I'm looking forward to more students being aware of our memes, our Dymaxion map, and all that kind of stuff. It's an interesting subculture. So welcome to my channel. I hope you find what you're looking for. Talk to you soon.